Yeah, and it's like, people just think, when people say they stop drinking,
Yeah.
it's more, people find it more weird that you stop drinking. They're like, what do you mean you stop drinking? Why? And it's like, they don't
understand it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's so socially acceptable, and I think it's because people, that's how they see how they unwind.
Yeah.
But they don't see the people that, that are affected by alcohol fall down by the wayside, the ones that isolate themselves at home,
Yeah.
like I did. It got to, at the end of my drinking, it got to where I couldn't even drink in a pub.
Yeah.
I'd go out and have a drink, to be with my partner. I'd have one drink, I'd have to go home, I couldn't socialise anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd just be sat at home drinking by myself, and, my head would tell me that's all right, and it's, it's not. Your head lies to you when you're alcoholic. It tells you that, do you remember that good time when you were 15 in the park and it felt really good? Even though, you wake up and, you can't do your job right, or you can't look after your children, or you're just not capable of doing anything. If your head forgets all that,
oh, yeah.
it just takes you back to a better time. I started going in 2017.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had a problem, and I went and I thought it was a cult. And I was like, what is all this about? How is a book and a program going to get me sober and happy? Because I couldn't live with alcohol, but I couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
So I went to these meetings, and they were telling me that there was this solution, that the solution was in the book, and then the book was these 12 steps. And I started doing the work. I think I went through about 3 or 4 different sponsors. A sponsor is someone that's been through the work effectively and can pass the knowledge on to you and help you through it.
So they're people that have recovered in a way?
Yeah, they're actively working the 12-step program.
Yeah.
And, they can effectively show you and guide you and give you suggestions. Because let's face it, when we're trying to hold on to our old ways, we do need some guidance.
Yeah.
So yes, I went through several sponsors because I didn't want to do what they said. I wanted to do it Catherine's way, and it fails, and it failed and failed and failed.
Yeah.
And it's quite painful, to be honest, to know that these people that are trying to help you are still happy and have a sober life, but you can't get it.
You don't maybe understand when you're at that stage, why is it so great?
Maybe.
Yeah. And you're missing that lifestyle then as
Yeah.
well, aren't you? Because you're pulling yourself away from it. But when you're accustomed to it for so long,
yeah, it's
really
basically
hard.
It is recreating your life.
Yeah.
Because
reprogramming yourself.
It
in
is.
a way, yeah.
It is rewiring your brain because the old way of thinking wasn't working anymore. Yeah. So you've got to completely change the way you're thinking. But to do that, you've got to follow these steps. And you've heard the term, haven't you? 1 day at a time.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a daily reprieve, and it says it's based on the contingency of your spiritual wellness.
Yeah.
So all of the suggestions are there. All of the steps are in the book. There's so much that I've learned over the past 7 years. I couldn't possibly tell you it all, but what I can say is that if you go to meetings, do as suggested. Get yourself a sponsor and read the book. Even if you don't believe it's going to happen, just try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, you've got a new life.
Yeah.
And it's to be sober and happy. Because what people forget about is you remove the alcohol, but the alcohol was your solution to how you were feeling. If you remove that alcohol, you still got you to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's what the 12 steps are for. It's how to manage, internally, why you were drinking in the first place. If you remove that, you don't need the alcohol. And I'm at the point now where I don't want the alcohol. The obsession of having the alcohol has been removed by working a 12-step program to the best of my ability every single day. 7 years. I battled with myself thinking that I could do it my way. It doesn't work. You've got to be all in.
Yeah.
I had a really good year of sobriety.
I remember that year actually. Yeah, you were on a high all the time.
Yeah, really good year.
Like that,
But I made a fatal mistake of thinking, actually, I'm all right now. You know, look how far I've come. And that's basically the mental twist that I've got as an alcoholic that says, you know what, I can just have one. And then I forget all of the trauma that I had behind me from my experience.
Yeah.
And I picked up a drink. But I can tell you, hand on heart, it gets so much worse.
What did that drink do to you when you picked up that drink after?
Well, at first I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm back to how I was. Don't get you at first.
Yeah.
But progressive illness. And I know that now. I painfully know it.
Yeah.
Because when I picked up that drink and it was all right the first time, a couple of glasses of wine, and then it hits you. And it's more painful because you know there's a solution. Because I've been working a program the year before.
Yeah.
And then you just fall into this deeper hole, this self-pity pit, which is just devastating to be in. Because you know there's a solution, but you can't stop drinking. And you can't pull yourself out.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. People turn up to basically help the newcomer, to help the new person, and to have fellowship and to know that there's a solution. It's not funded by anyone. It's completely autonomous. And you sat in a room. I mean, anyone that goes to the first meeting, it's brave. It takes a lot to walk into a meeting and say, I've got a problem. And all of those people in that room, the only thing they want off you is for you to get better, because they know they can help if you're willing to accept it.
Yeah.
And
obviously there'll be people in that room that have just started, people in that room that have been there years to take it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you've got a variety of different people. And even someone that is only a week clean or sober can still pass their experience down to that person that walks in through the door.
Yeah.
Because, alcoholics can help other alcoholics because they know exactly what they're going through. Someone that isn't alcoholic isn't really sufficient to help another alcoholic because they honestly don't know, what that feeling is. That, why can't I stop?
Yeah.
Why can't I have just one?
Yeah.
Put one in and you set off this thing and you just don't stop and you can't figure out why. You're beating yourself up and you just start the cycle again. So my power before was, universe, nature, nature's powerful. Crystals. I went through everything. And the one thing that I didn't want to look into was God, Jesus, church. I just had this, perception of it. As from going to Sunday school, thee, thy, thou, fear God, all of that.
Yeah.
And something compelled me to go to church beginning of this year after a particularly bad bender over Christmas and New Year. Yeah, relapse. Huge relapse. And I went and sat in this church that I went to, that you came to today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
St James in Millbrook.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world, Catherine.
So basically, I just thought, I've got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I thought that I'd tried everything. But it turns out that the one thing I didn't try is the one thing that's keeping me really well. And I went there and I just thought, just give it a go. What have I got to lose? So I started going and he started talking about Jesus and I was like, oh no.
What have I done?
I'm being honest, I was like, oh no, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But what I quickly found is I started to enjoy it. I started to enjoy, I've walked through the door and you're greeted. There's something very peaceful about churches that we know, and we know it's because originally they were buildings for healing, weren't they? So we know this. So I just sat there, I just listened, and I decided that I was going to give it a really good go. So I went to Bible study to learn about it. And
so start reading and learning the Bible.
Yep. And lo and behold, I've found a faith.
Yeah.
And I've got a connection to something that is bigger than me.
Yeah.
That I rely on.
Yeah.
Every day. It keeps me sober and it makes me a good person.
Yeah.
And that is why I decided to get baptised and confirmed today. So I can confirm to myself, to the people that I love, and to God himself,
yeah,
whatever he is,
yeah,
that I'm in it for the long haul. It's because, you know, alcoholism is a killer disease that is misunderstood.
yeah,
But if you are like anything like me, you have lost the power. You've lost the power to control, and it's got a hold of you.
yeah.
And if you've lost the power to control it, you need something higher than that to get you out of it.
Yeah.
And I choose to call that power God today.
Yeah.
And I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Because it's keeping me well and it saved my life, as I explained today at church. So praise and worship. So it's literally, you know, worship is, you know, hymns, but really modern now, the worship songs.
Yeah, I heard them this morning.
You heard? It's not like what you did, but like.
I didn't expect that woman that played the piano to sing the way she did.
Yeah.
She's got a right good voice.
I know. And I think this is how I made that kind of change, you know, it wasn't my Sunday school church. It was a church that were just like, you know, come and join with us, come and see what we've got on offer, come and see how we're living. And it was really appealing to me. So it's attraction.
Yeah.
I was attracted to their way of life. And you know what? The way of life that I'm living now is honesty. If you're honest, you're not keeping shady secrets. You're not, you know, stuck in that cycle of self-pity or what have I done now or how many lies have I told today or, you know.
What did I say?
What did I say? Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
Because I was, you know, one of the main things that I had a problem with was what people thought of me. You know, I was always like, you know, what if people think this way? What if people think that way? But I think today has proven that now I don't care. You know, I probably get a lot more ridicule for, you know, believing in Jesus and God than I would if people knew I was an alcoholic, you know. You know, to walk in the way of, you know, to read the Bible and to walk in the way that Jesus did, as we've learnt today, is, you know, it's just to be good, to love each other, to be good, and, you know, be good to yourself, be good to other people, and, you know, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you must do this, you must do that, you know, or you're going to get smitten by the mighty smite or whatever it is.
Be sent to hell.
Yeah, you know, it's not about that. It's about, you know what, you know, you're loved unconditionally, and you can help people. And by doing that, that's where you get joy and peace.
Yeah.